All right, we're back. We're talking thoroughbred horse racing on the PlaybookSports.com Horse Report with Jon Hardoon. You can check out, of course, John's packages. He's got a lot of them at JonSheets.com. Daily, monthly, best bets and all. John, how's it going?
Good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. Better than you because Aqueduct is closed today for a very cold reason.
Yeah, it's minus 6 degrees, so they canceled. Up here in Saratoga, it's minus 12, so I've never gone outside in minus 12 till this morning. Quite an experience.
Yeah, not good. Is that because of the wind?
No, it's just minus 12.
Without the wind?
Okay. With the wind, yeah.
Oh, now the two races we're going to talk about today are going to be from the fairgrounds, and we hardly ever do the fairgrounds. We'll do the fairgrounds maybe a couple times a year. And this is going to be one of those days we're going to do it. One of the races we're not going to do, by the way, the two races will be 12th and 13th. The one race that we're not going to handicap, and we're going to explain quickly why, is race number 14. And that is one of the top two races of the weekend, the Lecomte Stakes. But your son's horse is racing in the Lecomte Grade 3 race at the fairgrounds. And right now, Cyberknife is 6-1.
Yeah, that was a horse that my son Joe picked out for Gold Square Stables last year at the sales. And, so far so good. He's had 3 starts. He was DQ'd out of his first race, and then he ran second in his second race, and he won his third race at Fairgrounds going long. Brad Cox loves the horse. This is his Derby horse this year. Horse is a little screwy in his head. He's still a baby. He's got a lot of growing up to do, but Brad Cox likes him a lot. Brad Cox told my son, actually, well, Saturday will be the last time you'll get 6-1 on this horse, which means I guess he has high hopes for him.
Yeah, he is not the favorite. The favorite, you got a couple of top horses out there, Papa Cap and Epicenter. But Cyberknife has got 3 13s. Now, you usually talk about a horse that has the same number. You want to see an improvement at some point. So is that just because right now you still feel confident it's only three races? That's all we're talking about here.
Well, obviously, I would have liked to see better than the 13 last time, but I didn't. So, listen, all I could do
But the horse started with a 13, which was very impressive.
Yes. I mean, there are some good horses in the race. Papa Cap ran second in the Breeders' Cup.
But also only has 2 13s.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's not faster than us. By the way, Gun Runner is the father of both of those horses. So Gun Runner's doing real well this year as a sire. A lot of his horses are running big. Epicenter won at Fairgrounds the last time out, the same day that Cyberknife won, in a race earlier than that, and he only ran the 11. So, we have to improve a couple of points, but the improvement is there, and I would expect him to run better.
Okay, so and that race will go off about 7...
The 14th race. Are you kidding me?
20. Wow. That's late. Okay, that's Louisiana.
That's a long day.
Yes, but we're going to talk about races 12 and 13. And race 12 goes off at 6:20. And this is a 1.116 turf race, the Colonel E.R. Bradley Stakes. This is a $100,000 stakes for 4-year-olds and up. And we're going to start with the 1, Logical Myth, the defending champ of the race.
Let me just say one thing. There is a possibility that there's rain. So our selections that we're giving you today for turf only. Yeah, it's raining.
I checked the weather yesterday, and it said it was going to be okay, but maybe it changed.
Well, today it's raining and sleet there. So, I don't know how much it's going to rain. I'm just telling
how much it rains today could affect tomorrow. Yeah.
So I'm just putting everyone on alert that our selections are for turf. If the race comes off the grass, you have no play.
Yeah.
All right. In the future, when we have our packages, when situations like that occur, you'll get an update from us, telling you whatever.
Exactly. And that starts next week, by the way. We're letting everybody know, and I'll fill in more info when we're done with the picks, and I'll let John go. But yes, next week we're going to start our premium packages, and that means that in order for you to watch these shows, you have to pay for it, minimum $5, and they go up to $25 depending on what you get. We'll explain all that. not only on this show later, but also I'll put out a couple of different videos that you'll be able to check out for yourself, so you can decide what you want to take a look at. But like Jon said, if we do the show, and let's say this was starting next week, and it comes off the turf, well, Jon will make sure that we'll have a message board set up for everybody who pays for it, and then Jon will let everybody know if he has new picks, what he thinks, and all that other stuff. So we're not just going to leave you bone dried after our picks if things change regarding the weather. Okay, so this is the defending champ of the race. What happened to this horse, though, the last two? Because if you look at the fact that the horse won the race last year, ever since then, 10, 10, 9, 11, 9, 9, 8. But then the last two races, something happened.
Yeah, I am always willing to excuse one bad race, but two bad races, is somewhat of a concern. But the fact that they are running the horse in a $100,000 stake race, I guess they still have faith. And the horse obviously would have to go back to one of his good races that he ran 3, 4, or 5 starts back to be competitive in here.
Okay, next up, and by the way, that horse 12-1, Logical Myth. Next up is the 2, Halo again. And this was a horse that I was definitely thinking of putting into my exotics, and I'm going to do that. 6-1 shot. What I liked about the horse is a couple of things. First of all, even though he's only been on turf once, won the race, 13, nothing great considering that on the other surfaces, 8, 7, 8, 9. But it is the first race on turf. So I'm hoping that you'll see an improvement with the second race on turf. And now we get Rosario as well.
Well, the problem I have with this horse is I don't like when you win a race with a slow number, and that's what happens here. So because now you're going to lose all the value in the horse.
Yeah, because 6-1. Yeah,
everyone's going to look and see the horse is 1-for-1 at fairgrounds, 1-for-1 on the turf. Let's bet him. But he won that race with a bad number, so I call that reverse buried. And to me, you lose all the value in playing this horse. Can he make a forward move? Of course he can. He has fast numbers on synthetic to go back to 2 and 3 races back at Woodbine. But, there's no value in playing this horse. And he'll probably be shorter than 6-1 because of the connections of Asmussen and Rosario.
Yeah, and that's the reason why he's not one of my top picks. I just don't think I'm going to get much value with that horse.
Right. So that's why I didn't use him.
The 3, we're both going to put the 3 in our exotics. Cavalry Charge, an 8-1 shot, and 4 races this year. 3 of them ran 10s. Now, this horse has won 2 straight, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 6 after starting his career 0 for 8. Won the last 2 races also at this distance, 1 mile and 16th. So is this a sign of a horse that's getting better the more? Because I also see, coincidence or not, that the further the distance the horse has improved, or is that just coincidence?
It's probably coincidence. This horse was just getting good, and the only problem I have with this horse is that he's off of somewhat of a little bit of a layoff. He only ran 4 times all of last year, and he's never run over fairgrounds. He's never been on this turf course before, but as far as numbers are concerned, he's certainly eligible to run that 10 or better, and that's going to be good enough.
The 4 is another horse that we're going to put into our exotics, Own Agenda. The horse did not race in 2020. Then we saw the horse come back in June and ran a 10, finishing second. Then after that, ran another 10 at the fairgrounds at this distance, winning the race. So that's positive. And then considering that when the horse did run back in 2019 at this distance, at Churchill ran a 7. And we're getting 10-1.
Yeah, that's the good news. You're getting 10-1 on a horse that ran a 10 at fairgrounds the last time he raced. The problem with this horse is he only has 2 races in a year. He didn't run at all 2 years ago, took the whole year off. He came back and in June of last year ran the 10 and then resulted in another 5-month layoff. So obviously this horse has physical problems. The good news is when he shows up, he runs. He never runs a bad race. Oh. So the trainer does a terrific job. Sherry DeVoe used to work for Chad Brown. She knows what she's doing. The horse certainly could run the 10. Yeah, I don't think he's running better than the 10. He's a 7-year-old. Yeah. With that being said, you're getting 10-1 on a horse that just ran a 10 at fairgrounds. Must use, in my opinion.
And it's like the horse has actually gotten better the older he's gotten. So it's kind of weird. But we got to keep an eye on him at 7 now. Okay. The 5 is a 10-1 shot, Major Fred. First race on turf for Major Fred, who ran 10th in the Kentucky Derby in 2020. Yeah, I just think there's so many other horses to choose from. At 10-1. Why would we go with Major Fred?
Yeah, Major Fed. They waited till
Major Fed, yes,
till he was a 5-year-old to try him on the grass. It looks like kind of a desperate move for me. Like he's not good enough on the dirt, so let's try him on the turf. Maybe. I don't know if that's the reason, or they just want to try an experiment and see if they have a grass horse also. But I'm not going to pay to find out. 10-1, I'd much rather bet the 4 than the 5. That's for sure.
The 6 is the favorite, 2 Emmys, and definitely the horse to beat in this race. This is going to be your top choice, and I completely understand why. First race in 3 months, so that's the one thing we got to keep an eye on. But this horse won a Grade 1 race in August, first or second in the last 5 races. But keep in mind, the last time this horse took 3 months off, finished in second, ran in 11. That's still not all that bad in this field. But this is your top choice.
Well, he's 5 for 6 in the money at Fairgrounds, 2 wins in 3 seconds. So obviously he likes the course. He hasn't run worse than a 9 in his last 3 races. No one in this field has run better than a 9. I understand he's 3-1, but I don't believe that he's going to be that short. Not only that, he's going back on Lasix tomorrow. He was off of Lasix last time out. And I just think he's a solid horse. He never runs a bad race. He's 12 for 17, first or second. Always shows up and always runs a number. Yeah, he's shorter than other horses in here, but I think he's the solid horse in the race.
I hope you're right. I'd love to get more than 3-1 with that horse. That's for sure. All right. Next up is the 7, Excess Magic. This is going to be my top choice. I know you're going to have this on your exotics as well. Good combo between the rider and the trainer. Both are doing pretty well. The one thing I noticed here, and look, this is definitely an issue, but I want to be patient with me here. Worst race of this horse's career was at this distance. Okay, whatever. Finished 6th, ran with an 18. Okay. Now, is that a related issue to something that might have happened physically? Because after he ran the 18 and finished 6th in that race, we don't see him for 6 months.
Absolutely. Something went amiss, either in that race or right after that race, because whatever it was, it resulted in a 6-month layoff. Not only that, he figured to bounce off the 14, which he ran 2 starts back. So you combine the 2 and you have an excuse. The only problem I have with this horse is, the good news is he's 8-1.
Yes.
And he's a newly turned 4-year-old, so he's allowed to get better.
Yes.
And he had 2 wins in his last 2 races, both at Fairgrounds.
After coming back from the layoff.
Exactly. So he's fine. The trainer's hitting at 23%. Nothing wrong with this horse.
Okay. Now it's interesting because there's 12 horses in this race, but once we get to this point, I don't really like the rest of these horses, and I'm assuming you don't, because you don't have any of these horses in your exotics as well. Monarch's Glen 8-1 shot. I guess the good thing is this horse has run here the last 2 races at this distance, but only ran 12s. Did run a 7 in August.
Well, Maker's having a tough time at this meet. He's 0 for 30. That's very unlike Mike Maker.
Wow.
So for that reason, the barn is cold. He has a 9 and 7 to go back to.
Yes.
If you're looking to make a case for the horse, and he is 8-1. Again, unfortunately for Maker, he's 0 for the meet. But if the horse jumped up and ran one of those big races, obviously you would have to be concerned about him. But his last 2 races, one of them should have been better than the 12, and he has 2 12s in his last 2 starts.
And this is also the oldest horse in the field.
Okay.
8 years old.
Oh, yeah, he's 8.
34 starts, so ain't getting any younger. Okay, the 9 is also an 8-1 shot, Bodie Cream. Bodie Cream hasn't won yet at Fairgrounds, 0 for 3, coming off career best 9 in a win last time out in December.
At Aqueduct, he's okay, but he's shipping in, making his first start over the track. I think you have better options.
The 10 is Lucky Curlin, and Lucky Curlin's a 12-1 shot. The best we've seen from Lucky Curlin, ran an 8 in August, but last couple of starts, a 13 and a 16.
Yeah, the next couple of horses really look like they're up against it. I don't like any of them. Dynamite looks slow, can't run better than an 11 or 12, and from out there, it's going to be a lot worse. And finally, 40 under, another one. I think he's just outposted, and Maker trains this horse as well. And again, Maker 0 for 25 at the meet.
Yeah,
So
keep in
recap.
mind, by the way, that 11 Dynamite, you're just seeing on the form 2 wins in the last 2 starts, but those were 14s.
Right. So recapping, I like the 6, a slight edge to number 6, 2 Emmys. I would play Exactas with the 3 Cavalry Charge, the 4 Own Agenda, and the 7 Excess Magic. 6 with the 3, 4, 7, and Exactas, a come back and reverse them as well.
And the 7 Excess Magic is going to be my top choice. Okay, let's go to the 13th race. This is the one that will be probably the marketing-wise, this is the big one of the weekend because it has Mandaloon and Midnight Bourbon in the race. It's a shorter field, 1 mile and a 16th, the Louisiana Stakes, Grade 3, $150,000 purse for 4-year-olds and up. What I like about the race, though, is even though it's only a 7-horse field, I believe there are 4 contenders to the top 2 horses. I only think there's 1 horse in this field you can throw out. So I think there's a chance, because I also think that even though Mandaloon and Midnight Bourbon are they're the marquee heavy favorites, I think they're beatable. But let's start with the 1, Chess Chief. Won last race and ran a 7. What do you think about this 12-1 shot, Chess Chief?
Well, she ran the 7. He ran the 7 at Fairgrounds. However, it's a top. He's now a 6-year-old. I would play this horse to react off of that 7. Okay. I don't think he's going to run at all.
Okay, now comes Mandaloon. Now, Mandaloon ran a 10 and a 9 at this distance. Only ran at this distance twice. Finished first and third, but 10 and 9, nothing great. Worst race in 2021 was the last time the horse visited Fairgrounds in March at the Louisiana Derby, finishing 6th and running a 13 sheet. Because of that and the fact that the best Mandaloon has ever run are 7s, at even money, this is what I'm talking about. I think we're trying to find excuses that we always do for the heavy favorites, and I think we have a few.
Well, the 13 that he ran was 1 mile and 3/16, so it's much longer than he's running tomorrow.
Okay.
It was also coming off of an 8, which at that point in his life was a top for him.
Yes.
He never ran better than the 8. He then went on to run in the Kentucky Derby, a few weeks later, maybe a month or 5 weeks later. So you could be sure he wasn't squeezed in that race at Fairgrounds. He finished 2nd in the Derby. And by the way, he's still waiting to find out if Medina Spirit is disqualified from that purse money, and he's waiting to collect the money for winning the Derby.
What are they waiting for?
Yeah, well, that's what everybody wants to know. Well, they certainly should have had a decision. Here are the pluses. The pluses are he's trained by Brad Cox, who's a super trainer. He's going on Lasix for the first time, which will be a help. And he's a newly turned 4-year-old, so obviously he can run anything.
Yep.
There is absolutely no value in playing him. He would have to come back and run the 7 or better to win this race. So for that reason, I'm not going to key him, but I'm keying a long price horse in the race, but I certainly will use the 2. And the same thing goes for the 3, Midnight Bourbon. He's another one who's getting Lasix tomorrow for the first time. He ran an 8 last time out at Churchill, but before that he has a 5 and 6 at Parks and Saratoga, so he's eligible to make the forward move. And he's another one going on Lasix, and he's getting Steve Asmussen's a trainer and Rosario's the rider. So, obviously this horse would have to come back and run that 6 or better to get in, and he can. But again, you're dealing with the first 2 choices. Mandaloon is even money. Midnight Bourbon is 6-5. I would like to split them up if possible.
And by the way, Mandaloon hasn't raced since July. That's a long layoff for Mandaloon. And Midnight Bourbon, even though the horse raced in November, this horse has not won since January of last year. So almost a full year when the horse won in this card in the Lecomte Grade 3 Stakes last year.
Yeah, but look who he's been running against. He's been running against Maxfield.
Absolutely.
Hot Rod Charlie, Essential Quality,
yes.
Hot Rod Charlie, Bauer, Medina Spirit.
Sure, yeah.
Should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed up at every race and he's run well.
Yeah. Out of the 2, who do you like? Who do you prefer?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Midnight Bourbon already has a 5 and a couple of 6s.
Yes.
And he's a tick longer than Mandaloon as far as odds are concerned. He's 6-5. So, you're nitpicking, but a slight edge to Midnight Bourbon over Mandaloon because he already has the 5 and a couple of 6s.
Yeah, you almost get the feeling like Midnight Bourbon is maybe overdue now to finally win a
Yeah.
race. So,
well, whatever.
all right. The 4 is Sprawl. And Sprawl, the last 2 times Sprawl raced at this distance, Sprawl ran an 8 and a 6. Those are the 2 best races of Sprawl's career. He ran an 8 several times, but the 6 was at Churchill in May.
Well, you want to hear something interesting? The 6 and the 8 that he ran in those 2 races was the last 2 times he was on Lasix.
Oh.
And tomorrow he goes back on Lasix.
Interesting. And 5 for 5 at this distance with 4 wins.
Yeah, okay, but it's the 6 and the 8 with Lasix
Absolutely.
that really interests me. The 13 off the 6 was a bounce without Lasix. The 15 last time out was a bounce without Lasix. He's got time off. He could run an 8. I know it's not as fast as the 2 or 3. He's a point away or 2 points away, but he's 10-1.
Absolutely. Sounds good. That's a nice that's a nice long shot, mini long shot that we want definitely to find.
That was my read on that horse.
That was a brilliant read by a brilliant reader. The 5 is the one horse I mentioned that I just have nothing for, and that's Pirates Punch, a 20-1 shot. Not the same horse since the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile in November of 2020.
No, he's not been the same. Last year he had a 5, a couple of 7s, and a 6, but this year looks like it's caught up to him.
All right, now this is the horse, my long shot, mini long shot, that I'm going to try to make some money with. Warrant, obviously with Cox, I love that. Hernandez is having a nice meet. I like that. Coming off a 9 last time out, which is, even though it's a career best, it isn't like a major career best. So I could still hope that I'm going to get another career best out of Warrant, who, by the way, is 7 for 7 in the money with 3 wins, has a win at Fairgrounds, 1 for 1 at this distance.
He's okay. I'm not going to knock the horse. He's really never done anything wrong. But when a trainer has the favorite in the race, Mandaloun, and has another horse in the race that's 12-1, I kind of think in this particular case that he's going with Mandaloun. He puts Florent Giroux on Mandaloun, and who I guess is his number 1 rider, to be honest with you. He's ridden Warrant in the past, but he's going for Mandaloun. They think Mandaloun's a better horse, and I tend to agree with them.
All right, and then the 7 is a long shot here called Spa City, who has won 3 of the last 5 races at 20-1 in this one, has 2 7s in the last 4 races, and will be John's top choice.
He's my top choice for a few reasons. First of all, obviously the 20-1. I like that. I like the fact that Tom Amoss is hitting at 25% there. And what I like about him is his line. He has what we call an alternating line. He runs a good race, the 9, bounces to the 12. Right away rebounds, runs a good race, the 7, bounces to the 9. Then right away rebounds and runs a new top with the 7, and then bounces and runs the 12. It's time for his good race.
Yeah, he's done that 3 times.
He's done that 3 times, and he's done it since Tom Amoss took over the training.
Yes.
This was a terrific claim. They claimed this horse for $40,000, and now he's running for whatever, $150,000. Fine, but listen, it's strictly a value play. He could run a 7 just like Mandaloun and Midnight Bourbon and Sprawl, but the difference is he's 20-1.
Yeah.
So if I happen to be right, and he does what he's been doing, and he alternates back to the good race at 20-1, you have to step up and swing away. You could be wrong, but what the heck? You're going to get more. You're going to get a run for your money at 20-1. That I could guarantee you.
So that's going to be good. So your picks are?
I'm keying the 7 in exactas for first and second, with the 2 Mandaloun, the 3 Midnight Bourbon, and the 4 Sprawl. 7 with 2, 3, 4, first and second. And obviously some sort of win bet on the 7 if he's anywhere near 20-1.
Yeah, the hope is, of course, is we don't see Midnight Bourbon and Mandaloun 1-2.
It could happen, but
yeah, of course.
Listen, it could obviously happen, but it doesn't have to happen. No. And that exact is going to be $4 each way. So.
And if it doesn't, then we have to get the right favorite with the long shot.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, John. Next week, we start our premium package program, so can't wait for that. Appreciate it as always, and stay warm.
All right, be well and stay safe. Thank you to you and all the listeners as well.
Take
Bye,
care,
guys.
John. All right, so as I close out, like I mentioned at the top, we are going to start our premium packages next week. And I don't know if I made this point correctly or not, but when I mentioned packages were we're going to begin at $5. Those are $5 a month, just so you know, not $5 a week. So they're monthly packages starting at $5. So bottom line, you want to see every one of our programs starting next week. And what we'll probably do is, since we're starting at the end of the month, more than likely it'll be you'll get the extra week, like a bonus. So you'll get, like, if you pay the $5 to start watching next week, you'll have the 28th show, and you get all of February. So that's how we'll do that. So if you want to just pay $5, you pay $5, you get whatever. It might be, how many shows in February? 4. So you'd get 5 shows. That's basically, you get $1 a show. Okay. And you're going to wind up getting what? 10 free picks from it. So instead of us, which we've done now for 5 or 6 years, just giving these free picks for nothing, we had to find a way to earn a living. And coming from the radio industry, it was always about sponsorship. And I tried as long and hard as I could to kind of match that, and just realized that those are just old days. Not that sponsorships don't work, because they do, but you're better off with the sponsorships once you've already attained a certain amount of viewers. And since we haven't done that, what we need to do is find another way. And that is the fact that we have top analysts like Jon Hardoon that have been giving away free picks, and Mark Lawrence, who does the same. And he has all of his picks are you have to pay for, but he gives free picks on the show. And so those are the top 2 comparisons. So instead of so it's not like we're making some really cruel changes here. We're basically saying, look, if you want the free picks, it's not going to be free anymore, but we're also not going to charge you an arm and a leg. Prices go up depending on what you want from the packages. And what we'll have in those packages, for instance, is the opportunity every week to ask questions to Jon. And we're going to keep that basically into a message board community that we've created. So you'll get the opportunity every week now, if you pay more than $5, to ask Jon questions every week. And so definitely what we want to do, we haven't scheduled it yet. These are still things that I'm going to fine tune over the next couple of days before we put the packages out up on the site, and we let everybody know so you can take a look at them. And we'll put some promotional videos up there so you can understand a little bit more of what we're doing here and what you're getting for what you're paying for. But more than likely, we'll have a $5 package, a $10 package, and a $25 package. And obviously, if you pay the $25 package, you're going to get the best possible stuff we can give you. And that will also include not just horse racing stuff. So you'll be able to get discounted merchandise and specials from other partners and shows. So let's just say you're into football and you're into horse racing, and you pay for the $25 package primarily because you're a horse racing fan. And then you decide, well, wait a second, I could also get, for this $25, I can get some really good deals on Mark Lawrence's playbook packages if I pay for this, or whatever it is we decide to offer. Mark and I will talk about this as well and finalize what it is that he is going to give his time away for, and for how much. That is the deal. That's pretty much the deal. So, but you're definitely going to be getting special discounts, and we'll let you know what those percentages are going to wind up being, or dollar amounts, not just for, say, Mark Lawrence or Playbook Sports. We've got a relationship with an apparel company that we're going to be giving discounts for as well. So if you are someone that's looking for apparel, whether it's, who knows, I don't know what it's going to wind up being, 50 or 500, and you were thinking about getting something there, we're going to get a discount. You're going to get a good enough discount that makes it worth it, where you're saying, okay, this is what I'm paying for. And keeping in mind that we're going to just continuously, weeks later, months later, we're just going to keep adding and adding and adding, because we're just going to be adding more shows and more analysts and more partners. And so all that extra stuff we're adding, we're just going to be throwing it into the pile of what you're going to be able to get for the discounts. And that price won't raise. That'll just be the same. You're just going to keep getting more and more and more for the price you're putting in. It's up to you. I know what the deal is with the economy, and I get it, which is the whole reason why I'm doing this. So I completely understand, which is why we have a $5 package. So anyway, like I said, we're going to put everything together and finalize everything, and we'll have some videos up. And not only will we have them up here on the channel, and the YouTube channel, we'll have it on our, basically the company that we're using to work with us is going to be Patreon. I'm sure you've seen Patreon. If you've surfed the YouTube world and seen how a lot of these other channels have tried to bring in their revenue stream, Patreon is very big at that. And so that's who we're going to work with. And then we'll have our Patreon page. You're going to go there, and you're going to see how everything is broken down. Again, it's not going to look that first week. It's going to be changing. So we have a lot of cool things that I'm working on with some other shows and some other good stuff. So if you're a sports fan and you like a lot of sports, not just horse racing, then that's what we're going to be offering you. We're going to do stuff for March Madness. We're going to do stuff for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Obviously we're going to have year-round motorsports coverage and NASCAR and IndyCar. And then soon enough, we're going to dive into F1. We're going to have golf coverage year-round. So we'll talk Masters. Jan Stevenson, Hall of Fame golfer, is going to be one of our top analysts on the network. So we're finalizing all this kind of stuff. And of course, by the way, we're going to have free programming still. I would say half or more of our programming is still going to be free. It's just going to be there are certain people like John and Mark and Jan Stevenson and our top analysts that are going to, they're doing it. And they have a certain amount of credibility that they're bringing to the channel, and they got to get compensated for that. And it's not like they're making a lot of money off of it. Obviously, it all depends on how many subscribers we ultimately get. We're not doing this to get 50, and we're also not doing this to get 500. We're doing this so hopefully within the next couple of years, we've got thousands of subscribers, even if a majority of them are at $5 a pop. Because keeping in mind, too, this is very important, is that this isn't just about, hey, you know what? We've been giving away free stuff. We're going to charge for it. Now, this is about the idea that I've had all along of building a proper sports network. And that's what I've wanted to do all along. And this is the right way, I believe, to do that. Because I need to be able to bring in more money, because I have spent a lot of money. I mean, because there's a lot of money that goes in behind the scenes to even just what I've been able to put together here. So in order for me to up that and give you even better production and give you, better programming and have, John actually do shows live from a racetrack. We'll have our motorsports shows, and we'll be live from the whether it's from the Daytona 500 or the Indy 500, or at the Masters with Jan Stevenson, these, type of events that we can bring to you on this channel that not a lot of other channels have on YouTube, by the way. A lot of channels on YouTube are pretty much, if you're football, you're football. And speaking of football, by the way, I was saying free programming, Our Lads, which is our major sponsor and partner, the Our Lads Football Network. And this is the time of year that we are going to be just kicking it with the NFL draft and free agency. And those are all going to be free. Those are all going to be free programming. So we're going to have a lot of that going on. And then again, so if you're a football fan, then you're going to get a football channel. If you're a motorsports fan, you're going to get a motorsports channel. So that's 95% of what you're getting on YouTube. That's not what we're doing. We're bringing you football, NASCAR, golf, some college basketball, some hockey, some, horse racing. But we're giving you a variety of topics that not many channels do on YouTube, which is hopefully going to be how it's going to work out for us. Our hope is that you really like what we're doing. And the fact that you're not just giving us the money to get the information, but you're also giving us some of the money. Part of the reason is, and not going to be for everybody, but part of the reason is for some of you that you like what we're doing, and you know that if you do invest with the channel per se, that we're going to continue to give you even better programming that will make you even happier, and you'll just be like, that's great, that's what I want to see. And you'll have more control too, because keep in mind what we're going to do is, and this is something I should have said a while ago, but I'll say when we promote the packages on the video, is you're going to get the opportunity to choose a race every week. So we'll still have our 2 races. Like for instance, I would have, if this was next week, then I would have put out on the message board to everybody, and you go to the message board and you check it out, and I would say, okay, we are, and this is before Aqueduct shut down. Okay, I believe we were considering race 7 at Aqueduct. We were considering race 4 at Gulfstream. And then we were considering races 4 at Fairgrounds, 10 at Fairgrounds, and 14 at Fairgrounds, and then also 12 and 13. So we would have put all those races, 7 races, and said, here are the races that we're considering. Which one of those 7 do you definitely want us to handicap? And if, and whoever the majority, whatever the majority says, then we will pick that race, and that'll be the one of the 2 races that we'll handicap. And then John and I will pick the other 2. And this way you have control. Now, that's not going to be the $5 package, though, but you will have control over, or you can have control, basically voting power of what we talk about here on the show. Oh, and by the way, starting next week, we'll have interviews on the show as well. So Chad Summers, who's a trainer for John's horses, is going to be our first guest. So we're going to have guests. The idea is we're going to have guests every week. If we have to skip a week or 2, we will, but we're going to have guests now, trainers, riders, hopefully even writers, WRITERS and RIDERS. And, so we have a broad ranging of opinions and stuff on our show. So that's going to be starting next week as well. But again, those are going to be on, the packages are going to be worth more than $5. So if you're into that and you want to hear the interview, see the interviews, because we're going to be having them on video. I would assume most of them will be on video. If we have to, someone's, just, I don't have Skype, I don't have capability, then we'll just, get them on like it's a radio show, but still it's better than nothing. Anyway, those are the things that we're going to be adding to the programming, and it's up to you. Oh, and in the beginning, what we'll do too is, let's say, what I'll probably think of doing is that after the first few days, like let's say we produce our first show next week and it's available on, let's say we air the show at 1 o'clock, because that's going to be our normal time to air to record the show, which means it should be ready and available for everybody to watch by 4 or 5 o'clock at the latest. So, if I lost my train of thought now because I have so many things in my head. But anyway, the idea is that we're going to have the programs ready for you, where you're going to have more than enough time between the time that the show airs and the time that the races are on as usual. But also, we talked about this, if there's any issue with the weather and John's picks are just completely, hey, you know what? They've gone from turf back to dirt. You're going to be able to go to the message board, and you're going to be able to see on the message board that John is going to say, okay, so here's my new picks. Whatever John wants to say in order to let you guys know what he feels about the race. Also, we're going to give you the opportunity to communicate, as we mentioned before, to communicate with John on a weekly basis too. And that could be about the sheets, because that's the one thing that I want to try to do as well is try to get, and I'm still working on this, but try to get a way where John can answer your questions regarding the race and the sheets that we talked about. So let's say you watch the show at 5 o'clock on Friday, and it's 24 hours before the race, and but you're just confused about something. You're looking at the sheets that you've paid for on the races, and you hear his picks, but you're confused about something, and you want to know something, and you want to talk to Jon about it and find out before the race. You don't want to talk to him about it. Well, we're going to give you that opportunity to do that. Okay. So we just got to logistically make sure how we do that, but you will be able to do that, and it'll be on the message board. Okay. Again, that'll be for more than $5. And there was one more thing that I was thinking about, and I just lost, I had it there again, and I lost it. But anyway, I'll let everybody know about everything that I possibly can regarding the packages and what's going to be available for you. And that is going to be coming up here in the next several days. So I'm just going to finalize everything with Mark and Jon, and I've got a few other people that are also again, because Eric Smith from racereviewonline.net is gonna be in charge of all the motorsports. So I'm putting all those finishing touches on everything over the weekend. And I would say, no doubt, by early next week at the latest, we'll be pushing out the promotional videos for you to check out, and the Patreon page will be available, and you can check that out as well. So that wraps it up. Best of luck, everybody. And we'll talk to you again next week. Hopefully, we'll talk to a good percentage of you guys next week because we've been, I think we've been averaging a few hundred viewers on the regular racing, and then when it gets up to like big races, Kentucky Derby and Breeders' Cup, we get a few thousand. So the hope is that, I mean, I know we're not going to get a couple hundred viewers next week. That's just not how it works. But hopefully we get a decent percentage of you guys that will check us out. And this is I think what I was thinking about. What we're going to do too is if within a few weeks, could be a week, but at some point we're going to let you take a look at what we aired behind the paywall for people who are still not sure, and maybe they didn't pay for it the first week or two, and I got to figure out when we're going to do that. But at some point, especially in the beginning, it might take a week or two, but then we'll say, okay, just so you know, here's what you're missing behind the paywall. This is what we did, and here it is. And I'll make it available on YouTube for free. But it'll be a week or two after, but it'll still give you an idea. So those are we're trust me, I've been working on this big time for the past 4 to 6 weeks, and we're ready. So can't wait. And this is just going to make everything we're doing better here on the channel. And you guys, the fans, the viewers, are going to be a part of it, because I can't do it without you. And I can't do it without Jon. I can't do it without Mark. I can't do it without all these guys that have been, and girls, Jan. I can't do it without any of them. But especially the viewers, because I know as a fan, that's how I feel as a fan. That's why I think it's crazy when people say, when like if I'm a fan of a team and I say my team, and it's not your team. Why are you saying we? Well, because without us fans, there is no team. So yeah, it is my team. And sure, I might be this like tiny percentage, but I and the other few million of us fans for the specific team, if we all go away, so does the team. The team does not exist. If the fans don't buy the tickets to go to the home games and buy the merchandise, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, it is we. It is my team. Okay, so that's what that's my point here as well, as far as this channel. And if it succeeds, it's going to be your channel. You're going to be a part of it, and you're going to be what's going to make it really work. And whether you believe in my capabilities or not, I certainly hope that's the case. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys again real soon, hopefully again next week. And thanks for checking in with us here on the PlaybookSports.com Horse Report. For Jon Hardoon, I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time.